Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. In this week's news, Leonard is looking for mill volunteers, and Jema Berman earns a state award, and Crossroads for Youth is looking to sell half of its property.
Stay tuned. Learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. Oxford's Lone Ranger Posse is hosting a pub crawl on Saturday, May 19th to raise funds for the upcoming Lone Ranger Parade on August 4th. Check-in for this event starts at 6:30 p.m. and ends at midnight. There are 3 check-in locations, which are Homegrown Brewing Company at 28 North Washington Street, Sullivan's Public House at 23 North Washington, and 24th Street Tavern at 13 South Washington Street. Advanced tickets may be purchased for only $10 or $15 at the door. Food and drink specials will be offered by participating restaurants, including Falling Down Beer Company, 24th Street Sports Tavern, the Oxford Tap, and the Ox. Concho Pearl will offer a free child's meal with the purchase of 1 adult entree on the day of the event from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
After more than 3 decades of saving lives and protecting property, Lieutenant Brad Horton is retiring this month from the Oxford Fire Department. Horton said it's time to move on and embark on a new adventure. A 1981 Oxford High School graduate, Horton has been a member of the department since 1985. The only person who's been there longer than Horton is Chief Pete Schulz, who started in 1976. Horton worked his last day on May 11th, and his last official day is May 18th.
Saturday, May 12th was the National Association of Letter Carriers' 26th anniversary Stamp Out Hunger food drive, which took place in all 50 states, including Guam and Puerto Rico. While the numbers are not in yet, last year's drive collected 75 million pounds of food. Oxford and Addison residents left canned goods and other non-perishable food items by their mailboxes. Workers from the Oxford Post Office and volunteers handed out the collections.
More than 100 Clear Lake Elementary 5th grade students helped plant a butterfly garden near the Polly Ann Trail last week. Organized by Polly Ann Trail manager Linda Moran, the students learned about the importance of pollinating insects and hummingbirds. With wind gusts of up to 55 miles per hour, the students still managed to plant a variety of seeds, which will soon sprout pollinator-attracting plants in the garden. The 20-foot garden is located behind Evergreen Coffee and Bake Shop, where the Polly Ann Trail intersects with Pleasant Street in Oxford. Moran said she felt the project tied in with some of the school Green Team programs and invited speakers from Pheasants Forever and a monarch specialist to talk with the kids.
Jennifer Lewis was recently honored as a 2018 Youth Sports Staff Member of the Year by the Michigan Recreation and Parks Association. Lewis started her involvement with the department at 6 years of age when she began running in its former track club program. After spending 8 years in the program, 14-year-old Lewis began coaching the track club program when a coach resigned. More than 20 years later, she still brings the same level of excitement and involvement to the Oxford Parks and Recreation in every role she's held, according to Recreation Supervisor Daniel Sullivan.
The Addison Township Public Library has a lot going on these days. First, it recently celebrated its 40th anniversary, and now Director Jema Berman has been honored by her peers from across the state. Last week, Berman received the Patron Service Award during the 2018 Lolita Finn Small and Rural Libraries Conference held at the Grand Traverse Resort Inn in Acme. Bema said that This is a really big accolade for her, and she has not won an award on that level before. The award recognizes a librarian from a small or rural library who has made significant contributions and a positive impact on the library services to the patrons through outstanding programs or service, and that she has done.
An opportunity to volunteer and help preserve an iconic piece of local history is happening in the village of Leonard this next week. People are being sought to help spruce up the historic mill/grain elevator, both inside and out. The event will be held Saturday, May 19th from 9 a.m. to noon, and Village President Mike McDonald is encouraging people to bring work gloves, safety glasses, and, of course, a positive attitude. Free donuts and coffee will be provided.
An agency that's been serving and saving youth in need for generations is looking to continue its mission, but on half the land it has now. Crossroads for Youth is looking to sell up to 160 acres of its 320 campus on East Drainer Road. The asking price is $3 million, or nearly $19,000 per acre, and the land is currently zoned for single-family residential use under the Suburban Farms SF1, which requires lots to be a minimum of 2.5 acres each. That's it for Oxford News this week. If you'd like to learn more about these stories or others, pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper, or better yet, you can catch us on our website, OCCTV.org, on YouTube, and of course our regular channels, Spectrum, Channel 191, or AT&T Channel 99.
Coming up soon is John Ochins with the school news and OCTV's very own Cody Wright with the sports report. And you won't want to miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kinney.
I'm Terry Stiles. Thanks for watching Oxford News this week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, a blurry brown picture is the most detailed 3D image of bone ever produced. It may look fuzzy, but the model developed from electron microscope images gives unique insight into the remarkable properties of bone. Bone is mostly made of mineral crystals and the protein collagen. While the structure of collagen is well understood, how the minerals in bone, made mostly of hydroxyapatite, are organized is less clear. Roland Kroger of the University of York and colleagues at Imperial College London used electron microscopes to obtain cross-section images at many different angles and layered the images to construct detailed 3D images of human thigh bones. The 3D images revealed that at the nanoscale level, the crystals are slightly curved finger shaped. These cluster together to form a hand-like pattern, and these themselves are pressed on top of each other in stacks. Viewed at a higher level, these stacks are twisted. In fact, each level of the mineral architecture features twisting helical shapes. It was already known that collagen, itself a helical protein, forms twisted fibers in bone. Just as the twisted fibers in a rope give it strength, these helical structures must contribute to the mechanical properties of bone, says Kruger. His team thinks that the many layers of crystal and collagen organization may explain bone's unique properties, enabling it to be both stiff enough to support the body and tough enough to protect it. Many research groups are interested in growing bone in the lab as a way to treat bone diseases or to develop new tough materials. The complexity revealed in the new study highlights what a big challenge this is, says Kroger. Well, in our next story, after weeks of illnesses being reported across 25 U.S. states, a person in California has died due to an outbreak of E. coli bacteria linked to romaine lettuce. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, has now reported 121 cases of infection in people aged 1 to 88. This strain of bacteria causes diarrhea, vomiting, and severe stomach cramps, and can lead to kidney failure, which has been reported in 14 of the 52 people who have been hospitalized during the outbreak. Health officials have tied the food poisoning to lettuce grown in the Yuma, Arizona region, which supplies the U.S. with most of its romaine in the winter months. A farm there was the source of whole heads of lettuce sold to an Alaskan prison where 8 inmates became ill after eating it. But that doesn't account for the rest of the outbreak. Peter Cassell at the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's Food Safety Division says the agency is investigating the source of the illnesses in the other states. We are working to identify multiple distribution channels that can explain the entirety of the nationwide outbreak and are tracing back from multiple groupings of ill people located in diverse geographic areas, he says. Cassell says the Arizona Department of Agriculture confirmed that romaine lettuce is no longer being produced and distributed from the Yuma growing region. However, due to the 21-day shelf life, we cannot be certain that the romaine lettuce from this region is no longer in the supply chain, he says. The agency is investigating dozens of other fields as potential sources of the contaminated lettuce, he added. The CDC has warned against eating any romaine lettuce unless it can be confirmed that it wasn't grown in the Yuma, Arizona region, including whole heads and hearts of romaine, as well as bagged salad mixes. Wow. In our last story, a curious blend of a red blood cell and an E. coli bacterium could carry drugs inside the body. Drugs can have side effects when they cause changes in parts of the body where they are not intended to treat, so researchers hunt for clever ways to package drugs and target them more precisely. Cells of E. coli bacteria are strong swimmers with a spinning tail that acts like a propeller. However, these cells are small and have little room for cargo. Red blood cells, meanwhile, are big and spacious but can't propel themselves. Metten City and his colleagues at the Max Planck Institute for Intelligent Systems in Stuttgart, Germany, decided to combine the two. They loaded mouse red blood cells with a cancer drug and magnetic nanoparticles, then chemically stuck them onto E. coli bacteria that had been engineered not to cause disease. The hybrid swimmers achieved speeds of around 10 micrometers per second and were easily steered using magnetic fields. When the cells reached their target, the team used a flash of infrared radiation to rupture them, releasing their drug cargo. The team plans to test its swimmers in rodents next, and what can come from that? Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
I'm John Ochins, and welcome to the Oxford Wildcats School Update. More competitions to report on this week. Dan Balsley took a couple of his Auto Tech seniors to the Mites competition. Dan explains.
This was a new version of the automotive competition. They didn't have the competition at all last year, and the year before the person who was running that retired. And so this was a bit different. There was a little bit more computer questions.
What company was in control of it now, or group or whatever?
It's still the same organization. MITES is Michigan Industrial Education Technology Society, and it's still the same organization, but different people running the automotive portion. So they made some changes. They timed all of the events, which may be good. It helped to finish on time. And there were more computer questions, more programs that you answered questions on the computer instead of actual hands-on. There were still 4 areas that were hands-on, but they're phasing that out a little bit.
Dan talks about our kids.
These are guys that I took 2 years ago as sophomores, and they were back as seniors, and they did pretty well. It was Kyle Kebelflash and Austin Hunter. Austin Hunter ended up placing 5th in the electrical section, 1st place in brakes, and 2nd place in steering and suspension. Kyle also did real well. He got a 5th place in electrical, 6th in safety inspection, 1st place in brakes, 10th in steering, and ended up placing 9th overall in the state. So I was pleased with their performance.
While we're talking about these competitions, I asked Dan about the possible lineup for next year.
Yeah, they're planning on it. They're looking at improving what they were doing, and I believe they're holding it at the same location. So, yeah, I think they're going to go ahead with this format and maybe improve this even more.
Any scuttlebutt about bringing back any of the old competitions that kind of went by the wayside?
No, I haven't heard anything about resurrecting the AAA Ford competition. That was an exceptional competition, and I'm sad to see that gone, but I don't hear any signs of bringing that back.
There was a special visitor to Auto Tech the other day.
What a neat experience. Nate Beltramo is a student that graduated 2 years ago and went into aviation technology. He's gotten his pilot's license, and he wanted to come back and talk to the students. His big motivator was that he wanted to let the students know that just because you're taking an auto technology class, that you don't have to be under a car for the next 40 years. There's so many job possibilities and career paths that you can go on.
Neat stuff. Our high school robotics team, Torque 2137, wrapped up another season, attending the Worlds competition in Detroit. Their chief mentor, Ian Houston, shares his feelings.
I thought Worlds was great. You know, the kids were a little down that their robot didn't make it quite to the end there, but they're really excited to win Engineering Inspiration Award this year. I think it's our first time winning such an award at Worlds, and we're looking to go for chairman's next year.
Just tell me a little bit about that award. What is the significance of that particular award?
So that award puts us as one of 6 teams worldwide to be recognized for our efforts in terms of first in STEM outreach and community outreach as well.
Byron Wolf is one of the kids who was fortunate enough to attend Worlds twice in a row. He compares.
I really thought it was different, especially with it being local in Detroit instead of down in St. Louis. Especially the layout of the venue. Stuff was like a lot more accessible, whereas last year in St. Louis, like where if we wanted to go explore the pits or go see the Innovation Fair, we had to walk probably about a mile, a quarter mile in order to get there. But in Detroit, they actually had everything like right close next to each other. In fact, the FTC event was right across from us where we were competing, and the junior FLL and FLL were just right below us, and it was all very close.
Just to bring you up to date, 2137 won the Chairman's Award at the Waterford Regionals, the Engineering Inspiration Award at Belleville, the Chairman's Award again at the state competition, and at Worlds, another Engineering Inspiration Award. Not bad for a team that lost about 13 seniors last year. Good group of kids and parents. That's the Oxford School Update for this week. Happy summer and good luck to our seniors. They completed their classes a few days ago and are off and running. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.
How's it going, Wildcat fans? Cody Wright back here once again with the Sports Report. We have a lot to go over this week, so let's dive in and see how things went for our Oxford athletes. First off, out of the gate, boys baseball had a pretty busy week, and it started out very strong for all 3 clubs. On the 7th, varsity and JV both took on Rochester Adams, and that was here at home. Varsity faced a doubleheader and took the win both games, 7-4 and 4-2. JV also performed really well and took both wins in their doubleheader, 4-3 and 10-6. The very next day, the freshman club took on Adams as well here at home in what was another doubleheader, taking once again both wins, 9-3 and 17-4. So not a bad 2 days if you ask me. On the 9th, though, however, the very next day, all 3 clubs played single games and we didn't have any success. Varsity took on Adams yet again and fell to a final of 7-4, JV 10-8, and freshmen fell to Troy Athens 10-4. The boys lacrosse team have been struggling as well lately. They took on Clarkson on the road on the 9th and fell to a final of 12-2. JV also struggled and fell hard 13-1. Our girls lacrosse couldn't seem to pull off the win as well the same day on the road, taking on Holly, falling 19-1. Like I said, our lacrosse program seems to be struggling, but a lot of this has to do with us having lost a lot of seniors last year, and we are definitely in the process of rebuilding. The girls soccer team took on Lake Orion on the road as well this week. The varsity girls scraped by with a low-scoring win, 1-0. However, JV was close but couldn't pull off the win. Final score was 2-1. And last but certainly not least, the big story is the girls varsity softball team this week. We took on Lake Orion, the top 10 ranked team this year here at home. The weather was perfect and so was the performance. It was senior night, and seniors Lauren Donaldson, Caitlin Bean, and Hannah Vachon played their last games against Lake Orion. The three girls have won 96 total varsity softball games together in their time here, and they will surely be missed next season. However, girls faced a doubleheader, and the first game found us in a tight spot, bottom of the sixth, down 6-2. With one out, Kenzie Miller started us off with a single, and the next 5 batters got on base, now with 2 outs. Bases loaded, Vashon hits a dinger and gets a triple. Oxford takes the lead and goes on to win the first game. In the second game, we had a 4-1 lead by the bottom of the sixth, and Lake Orion loaded the bases with 2 outs. Vashon ends the rally and kills the pressure with a strikeout to end the inning, and once again Oxford wins the game. We are now 12-1 on the season and sit on the first place spot, tied with Clarkston for the OAA Red Division. We definitely look forward to seeing what these girls can do the rest of the season. It's definitely looking very bright. And that's going to do it for this week's report. For more info on these events and more, go to oxfordathletics.org. There are plenty of game breakdowns and statistics right there for you, right at oxfordathletics.org. While you're at it, might as well check us out at occtv.org. All of our coverage of these events and more can be found on our YouTube page, which you can access through the website. Once again, that is occtv.org. Well, folks, that's all for this week's report. I want to thank you all for watching and remind you to tune in next time. But until then, I'm Cody Wright. Go Wildcats.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, the Toyota Research Institute plans to open a closed course testing facility for autonomous vehicles in the Michigan Technical Resource Park in Ottawa Lake, Michigan. The 60-acre site, to open in October, will be used to reproduce scenarios that are too risky to execute on public roads, TRI said in a statement, and will involve congested urban environments, slick surfaces, and a 4-lane divided highway with high-speed entrance and exit ramps. Ottawa Lake is near the Michigan-Ohio border, 35 miles south of the Toyota Technical Center operations outside Ann Arbor. A TRI spokesman declined to comment on the details of the agreement with the Resource Park, including the cost of the arrangement and the length of the lease. TRI plans to lease the track and the land in the inner ring from the Michigan Technical Resource Park, or MITRP. The 50-year-old track had been used for decades by auto supplier Dana Corporation, which is based several miles away near Toledo. FCA US currently uses the site for vehicle storage, with thousands of mostly Ram trucks and Jeep SUVs parked along the track. The facility will be designed inside the park's 1.75-mile oval test track, and TRI will have access to other on-site facilities and services. MITRP will maintain responsibility for the oval itself and everything else outside of the oval infield, Toyota said. And over at Ford Motor Company is in talks with multiple property owners in the Corktown neighborhood near downtown Detroit in an effort that would create a sweeping campus consisting of dozens of individual properties, including both buildings and parcels of land in the area, Crane's Detroit Business, an affiliate of Automotive News, has learned. With the abandoned Michigan Central Station as the campus's anchor, Ford is nearing deals to buy properties ranging from small retail buildings and slivers of land to large warehouses, according to a half-dozen sources who have been briefed on the discussions with property owners. The automaker, which employs 48,000 in Michigan, is expected to reveal its intention to buy and redevelop the dilapidated Michigan Central Station in Corktown this month, according to 4 other sources familiar with the campus discussions. An announcement of what could be the most transformational Detroit development plan in more than a decade may come May 10th, one of the sources said. The other sources were unable to verify that date, which is also when Ford's annual shareholder meeting is scheduled to begin at 8:30 a.m., but did say that this month is the target. The project is not set in stone. The Maroon family, which has owned the train station for decades, and some of the other properties folded into the plan, are known as tough negotiators, meaning the discussions could collapse and the depot remain in the family's hands. Ford already has revealed its intent to occupy the factory at downtown, in Corktown that is, on Michigan Avenue, and put 220 autonomous electric vehicle workers in the 45,000 square foot building. But close to 50 properties, including the train station and small vacant lots, have been linked to Ford in the 5 weeks since Cranes first reported the company's discussions with the Maroon family. The result of the property assembly would be a large campus spread across at least 1.1 million square feet of building space, sitting on at least 21 acres. That's the equivalent in size of 11 large retail stores. Almost all the properties are in the area generally bounded by Verner Highway, 14th Street, the I-75 Service Drive, Trumbull Avenue, Rosa Parks Boulevard, and Bagley Avenue. Among them, the Detroit Athletic Company building on Michigan Avenue, the Maroon-owned former Detroit Public Schools Book Depository, and the Alchemy building on Rosa Parks Boulevard. A series of dozens of parcels immediately north of Bobcat Bonnie's restaurant, totaling almost 5 acres, are also in play. The train station discussions have continued for months. Cranes Detroit business reporters have seen workers for the past several weeks at the building with scaffolding and construction platform erected on its western side. A spokesman for the Maroon family said 2 months ago the crews were doing inspections but declined to provide any additional details about the nature of the inspections. The equipment has since been removed. It's not known how, if at all, the Corktown campus would impact Ford's effort to transform its Dearborn headquarters in what 2 years ago was a planned $1 billion 10-year effort to consolidate employees and renovate many of its buildings there. If Ford's plan comes to fruition, the total capital expense could be near or surpass that amount. Local and state tax incentives would likely be involved. Well, that's all for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
Hi, I'm Rachel Baker, and welcome to OCTV's weekly calendar of events, where we feature community activities and family outings around Oxford, Leonard, and Lake Orion. If you or your organization would like us to get your message out to our viewing public, please contact us for more information at our studio. Our number is 248-628-9658, or go to our website at occtv.org. We've got a lot of great stuff going on this week, so let's get right into it. To begin, the Oxford Downtown Development Authority is having a meeting on Tuesday, May 15th. This Saturday, May 19th, Oxford's Lone Ranger Pub Crawl begins at 6:30 p.m. and runs until midnight. Tickets may be purchased by those 21 and older for $10 in advance or $15 at the door. Buy them at Homegrown Brewing Company, Sullivan's Public House, or the Tavern. Enjoy specials on food and drinks at the many participating restaurants throughout downtown Oxford. All proceeds go to the Lone Ranger Parade, which will be held on Saturday, August 4th. For more information on the pub crawl or the parade, visit homeofthemask.com. Nearisher's taxi service will be available to provide safe transportation that night. If you would like more information on Nearisher's, feel free to call 248-845-8088 or go to nearishertaxi.com. Also, the Legacy Center is hosting the first annual Pet a Pup adoption event headed by the Canine Academy. Join in on the fun on Saturday, June 2nd from 12 to 3 p.m. There will be great dogs by Canine Academy and adoptable puppies from the Canine Stray Rescue League. There will be raffles, drawings, music, food, and plenty of fun. Remember, these rescues need your support. The Canine Stray Rescue League hosts regular adoption events at Harvest Time Market on Drainer Road and Petco in Auburn Hills. This Saturday, come on out and adopt a pet in need. The Canine Strays will be at Petco on South Baldwin Road from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. this Saturday. For every adoption event at Petco, Canine Stray gets a small donation. Next Saturday, another adoption event will be held at Harvest Time on South Lapeer Road. For more information, please call Canine Stray Rescue League at 248-628-0435. If you're interested in donating your time or money to this fine organization, know that they are always taking cans and bottles to fund the dog's medical treatments. These are expensive endeavors, so donations are always appreciated. Also, feel free to donate paper towels or newspapers, chew toys, and milk bones for the dogs. Your help is sincerely appreciated. If you're interested in volunteering, please call Canine Stray Rescue League or visit their website, caninestray.com, for more details. This is Oxford Community TV, and I'm your local host, Rachel Baker. Please join us again for your weekly calendar of events.